From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to Beat the Champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Beat the Champ as we wrap up our month-long stay here at Brad Angelo Lanes in Lockport. And Sue, as we always do in our final week, we have a little fun. And a lot of times our fun is a chance for us to showcase some of the next generation, and that's what we have today.
Well, it's nice because a lot of our Beat the Champ fans happen to be young bowlers, and it gives them an opportunity to see other young bowlers bowl and say, hey, maybe they could make the show as well.
Yeah, so we have High School Bowling Challenge for you today. 4 young, outstanding bowlers from here in Niagara County will battle it out for the title of the king of the high school bowlers here at Brad Angelo Lanes. Meanwhile, we're going to keep you busy with some fun that we're going to have today. Tell us a little bit about one of your adventures for today.
So I don't know if you guys saw when we came in today, we had the old school Liberty checkered cab out front. So I got to talk with the owner of Liberty Cab and some of his girls he brought by today, and we got to see a little bit of that, so you'll see that later.
So we got a little bit of everything for you, but mostly a lot of great young bowlers, so let's get rolling. First match of the day on the left, Matt Piscotty from Star Point High School. The opponent will be Trevor Watts from Niagara Falls, a couple of outstanding young Niagara County bowlers battling it out here in our first match of the day. So Sue, I'm excited to see some of the young guys and to help us along here as he has done on our month-long stay here in Lockport. Brad Angelo is along to provide some expert color commentary. You have a chance to know a lot of these kids, work with some of them, so we're looking forward to hearing your insight and your coaching tips.
Well, expert is definitely the proper word to use there.
Oh, I got how that works. Well, it is your lane, so we'll call you whatever it is that you want us to call you. How's that?
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's great that you guys are here. Some of these kids, I was watching them throw the ball during warm-ups. Wow, do they throw it good.
Matt Piscotty from Cambria, New York, 17 years old.
They always have the obstacle of moving over to this pair, though, when they've practiced on other pairs in the house, and they have no idea how many games were bowled on this pair, and there's a lot of adjustment for the young bowler here to figure out.
Most kids this age, they always are bowling when the lanes are fresh oiled. When I was their age and I would go into a bowling center, I would always ask at the front counter, do you have a pair of lanes that's fresh? I want to bowl on the freshly pampered oil. Not even realizing that a lot of times you can learn a lot more as far as your creativity and your adjustments if you bowl on a place that's already been beat up, like after leagues are done and something like that. So these kids are, probably any of the right-handed kids are going to be in there for the shock of their life when they come over here after bowling on the fresh oil that they practiced on.
You're getting a look at Trevor Watts, 15 years old, from Niagara Falls. We do have some handicaps at play in this match as well, too. So.
Yes, we do. We got a little power going there, don't we?
Yeah, it kind of hurts me to watch that, to be honest with you. He's another one of those guys, I hope he never makes it out on the PBA Tour, because if he does, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, very impressive start so far for Trevor Watts with a couple of strikes in the first 2 frames.
I mean, he's 15 years old.
Oh, my gosh. Do you remember that far back, guys? 15? I can't even. Well, it was just a month and a half ago for you, Sue, as we know, but.
I've tried to put a lot of that out of my memory, to be very honest with you, so not as much as I want to. There's the numbers on Matthew Piscotty, 191 average for the 17-year-old from Cambria, New York. He's got his parents here, Beth and Jeff, and got his Star Point bowling coach here as well, too.
Well, I was lucky enough to have those years be for me the 80s. And the 80s, you know, had good music, and the 80s were a good time.
Prince. Come on, how can you beat Prince, Madonna, Michael Jackson?
These guys don't even know who that is.
See, I caught the tail end of the 70s there, and I'll argue with you that 70s music is way better than 80s music any day of the week. But that's not our topic of discussion today.
No.
We can have a whole different show discussing
let's
music
talk
genre.
about the kids,
so
Paul. Can we just
let's
focus
talk
on
about
the kids?
Right. Right. Kids that would look at you go, what? The 70s, the 80s, the 90s? What?
What does that mean? My grades? You talking about my grades?
Exactly. Exactly.
As long as it's not their bowling scores.
That's right.
Both of these kids weren't even born till the year 2000.
I know.
Matthew's laughing at a little bit of his struggles here early on, but that's good. That's the right way to do it.
Paul, we really have seen in the last 3 months we've done all high school, and it's same thing all 3 times. Is that these lanes are so
They're so
dry.
different for them, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and again, particularly because of the way that we record these shows, these are the 4th week of shows. So this is the 10th match that's been bowled on these lanes, throughout the course of the day.
And they're playable, but they come with their brand new bowling balls that are high performance balls. And in this case, you'd want a lesser ball. You'd want a ball down for something like this. And
Well, how many times do you hear, and Sue, you can probably attest to this, how many times do you hear anybody that bowls, they say, well, yeah, I stand on the second dot and I throw it over that second arrow from the right. Just that type of language, rather than because they're so used to bowling on the freshly oiled. Now, if you notice, who really has a big advantage? The guy that hasn't seen as much traffic.
Right.
the left-hand side, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and a great start of 4 straight strikes for Trevor Watts right now.
Oh, my
Off to an
goodness.
impressive beginning.
It's like so many times sitting in the chair, I just want to go up there and take 2 seconds away and line them up.
I do too.
Because you know what's happening, and you want to be able to go help them out.
Well, I have to tell you, in working with as many youth bowlers as I do and running Bowl U workshops around the country, there's so many of them, they just don't even know what to look for. And we have Matt right now, he's certainly on panic mode, going, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing, don't screw up, I can't believe this is happening. And about the worst thing that could happen just happened in the start of this match, so he's feeling deflated, and now he's probably thinking, great, I finally got one, big deal. Rather than, hey, he already has, he has 9 pins handicap advantage, so he's not really that far out. If he can put something together and maybe Trevor struggles a little bit, he can maybe pull close.
Well, it takes the value of our years to know that when someone starts with the front 4, you can end with the front 4. You know what I mean? This is the front half of the game. There's still a second half of the game.
Exactly.
And the whole thing can flip right around.
Shift, sure can.
Trevor Watts is here with his mom, April, and his dad, Sean, cheering him on. He is from Niagara Falls, as we mentioned, a student at Niagara Falls High School, and one of the outstanding bowlers on the Wolverines bowling squad. This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV. As you mentioned, Brad, the young generation, the young bowlers are so used to the perfect conditions, and the balls that are so reactive and stuff is, like you said, do you want to try to take them back, 15 or 20 years ago when everything wasn't perfect and the balls weren't as good? Do you credit some of your success of sort of learning how to deal with some of the adversity?
I think so. I learned to bowl at a time where you had to make a lot of those adjustments. But the beauty of Bowl U and what Bowl U teaches is it teaches the sport for just what it is, the sport. And it exposes people right from the very beginning about what's going to happen, and they can make their own logical, creative decision. That none of these 4 kids have been really exposed to the Bowl U workshop, and so they don't really know. And, let's hope Matt right now can come up and throw another shot. And he keeps going through the nose. So as you see, he hasn't made the adjustment on that lane. He's left the same hit all 3 times on that lane, and it's just a matter of, hey, you know what? I got to move, or I got to increase my speed, or something to get through that amount of friction. Right,
it's a matter of knowledge, and you have to learn. Somebody has to give you that knowledge, or you have to attain that knowledge. And hopefully, who's ever drilling, even at this level, who's ever drilling your bowling balls, that you're just not going out and saying, oh, this is the new storm ball and I want it. What you need is a balanced, a choice of balls, a balanced array of balls in your bag, so you have something aggressive, something less aggressive. As soon as you see something happen like this, you have something to go to that doesn't hook as much. So it's about balancing your equipment.
Sure.
So Matthew is trying to figure a couple things out here. Let's see if he can make some right adjustments. A good spare right there for Matthew. As he grabs that spare for himself to wrap up the 7th frame. And now back to Trevor Watts.
Yeah, Trevor's got a 54-pin lead here, so that's quite a bit.
Yeah, that big start had a lot to do with it. There
Good
you
shot.
go, another nice shot. You mentioned it before too, Brad. You watch the young guys like Trevor with the power and the speed, and and just the athletic ability is a little different than it was even when you were learning.
Well, when I was learning, the object was you want to keep your shoulders parallel with the foul line. In today's environment, you want to teach them to rotate and get their shoulders perpendicular to the foul line. That is called their kinetic chain. So if you watch him as he gets to the foul line, his shoulders are perpendicular. And then, like I said, his arms are outstretched, but he's leaning so much, and that's what looks like his high backswing is so much there. In any sport, you have to have the kinetic chain. The kinetic chain is the twisting and the unraveling of power. Like in tennis, a tennis player doesn't just stand there and just fling the ball over the net. They have a twisting motion, a quarterback throwing a pass. If you think they come way back and then they have to explode that way. And it's evolved into being the same thing in bowling. It's not just stay really square and swing your arm straight. Those days are over.
Yeah, and you saw a nice strike there by Matthew Piscotty, and good for him. He had that look on his face like, finally, I got one, I got it right, and there you go, you got 2 in a row. You bring up an interesting point, and I think bowling is no different than a lot of other sports where a lot of that comes from your legs, and the power comes from your legs. We all want to think a great quarterback is a great arm, but the great quarterbacks are the guys who use their legs in the proper ways.
Well, I'll give you another one. In watching Trevor throw a shot, if you watch, when I was growing up, you wanted your slide to get to the foul line at the same time the ball got to the foul line. Not anymore. We want to teach them to be slid and stopped, and then the ball comes through.
You plant and then bring the ball through.
Yeah, so
because that's power. That's where you get your power.
That's the power that transfers up from the floor all the way up, all the way out the top through the swing. So if you watch him, you see his right leg is more than stopped, and the ball hasn't even reached his ankle yet. All that power that comes unraveling out through that.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. And you saw a perfect example of it on that throw by Trevor. So that's 4 in a row for Trevor. 5 in a row now for Trevor.
Now you can control that somewhat with your push away. Am I right?
You can. Again, that has to be the coordination of your footwork with your arm swing. Some people, it's just the normal, I'm working on my timing. Well, that's a nice thing to say, but a lot of people don't even really know what they're looking for with the proper timing.
Right.
I find a lot of people, they have perfect timing for today's environment, but they don't know it. And they're working on their timing, trying to get it more even, where you really need to have late timing in today's environment to be able to generate what's called leverage.
Do you sometimes have to, particularly with young, powerful, throwers like a kid like Trevor, to try to pull them back a little bit and say you don't have to throw it 1,000 miles an hour?
Well, it's really, really difficult if they've had any success before they get to me.
Right.
The best thing that could happen to any of these kids is they struggle a little bit. It's amazing how a little humble pie can make you be more absorbing to information. But if you go out and you just have all the success in the world, you don't care what some old washed-top PBA guy has to say. You could care less.
Don't talk about Tom Baker like that. Nice strike there by Matthew Piscotty. And as you saw, Trevor Watts with the 238 score. Very impressive for Trevor on the board already. And Matthew finally found the groove there, and some nice performances from Matthew to finish strong here. That's 4 in a row for him.
Well, that's the mat that I'm used to seeing here. Star Point Bulls, their matches here on our 1 through 12 side, which is behind us, and Lockport Bulls, their matches here on 13 through 24, which is the side we're bowling on now. And Matt here, boy, he's in here all the time. His family comes in. They're in here on our Sunday special days. I've gotten to know them and their family, and what a great group that they are.
So it's a win for Trevor Watts at 238 to 185 over Matthew Piscotty. So Trevor will advance on to our championship match. But we've got 2 more young high school bowlers to go in match number 2 to determine who's going to bowl for the title here. It's the High School Bowling Challenge at Brad Angelo Lanes in Lockport. We're back right after this on Beat the Champ. Good solid performance by Matthew Piscotty from Star Point High School. Struggled a little bit to the start, and then you really found your groove after that. Tell me about it.
Well, once you reach 3 chops, 3 splits, it's pretty hard to recover from, but especially when you're bowling up against going 230. But good job, Trevor. Really good game. Found a groove a little bit late, but sometimes how it goes.
Right. Coach Angelo, how'd he do?
He did great. Trying to control your emotions and in this type of environment, it's not easy. It was great for us to be a part of the building the youth into this Beat the Champ program, so I'm glad you came out and bowled, and congratulations on making it.
Yeah, good job, Matthew. Well done.
you.
So we got 2 more outstanding high school bowlers. It's our next match, and it's coming up right after this. Match number 2 of our high school challenge features David Shelton from Niagara Falls. He's on the left. Tommy Loverick from Lockport on the right. The winner of this match will take on Trevor Watts as we crown a high school bowling champion here at Brad Angelo Lanes. And a couple of another young, impressive bowlers going to go at it here. And Tommy Loverick from Lockport High School will start things off, 16 years old. You know him pretty well, don't you?
I know him and his family very well. I'm pretty excited that he even tried out.
And the two-hander with the strike to open things
Yeah,
up.
he slaps it out a little bit. Sometimes I'll come in and I'll see him and he'll have 4 or 5 in a row and he'll come flag me right down. Mr. Brad, Mr. Brad, Mr. Brad, come look. I got 5 in a row. I got 5, I'm going to get 6. And then he comes in sometimes when I'm bowling league, and if I leave a 10-pin, he's like, Mr. Brad, what happened? How come you didn't strike? He busted my chops the whole time. I love it.
Here's David Shelton. He's 15 years old from Niagara Falls High School and hometown of Niagara Falls, obviously, and good start for him as well, too. Boy, these guys are really impressive to watch and a lot of fun. And again, fun for Sue and I when we get a chance to see some of the next generation. It's got to be fun for you as well, too, because you want the next group of Brad Angelos and and Jack Jureks and stuff to emerge.
I just think it's great. I think that, I'll put it this way. I remember when I was their age, and I would have loved the opportunity to have had to be able to bowl on a television program like this. So, to all the bowling centers that have involved the kids, congratulations to you. Good on you. And hopefully all of us can continue to support youth bowling around here in Western New York. Many of the kids that I know from Western New York, they went through college on scholarships. A couple of them just graduated this past weekend. And what an honor to be able to be a part of their future.
Oh, great recovery.
Nice answer back. Great, good word, Sue. Recovery there for David. Excellent. Well done.
So I see we have a two-hander here.
We have a two-hander. He's a two-hander. He only throws urethane. He has came to the Bowl U class the last 3 years, and he loves it. And he's just a huge supporter of our bowling center. Anywhere I'm on around the country, he finds out about it and he tunes in and watches. And hey, how'd you bowl this weekend, Mr. Brad? So it's really a good time with him.
And he's got his storm shirt on, just like Mr. Brad.
Oh, the whole thing. Yeah, I got him that shirt. I'm surprised he didn't wear my name shirt.
I was going to say, he doesn't have your face on the back of his shirt. What's going on with that?
Oh, what the heck? I said I gave him one of my name shirts as a, thank you and thanks for being a cool kid. And I'm surprised he didn't have that on. The problem is it's a double extra large, so I think he'd be swimming in it.
What's your take? We always Sue and I talk about it a lot. What's your take on the two-handed bowling influences in your sport now?
Well, what's the object of the sport?
Got
to knock down pins.
To knock over the pins.
Yep.
Just knock the pins over. I do think the two-handers and the people that don't use their thumb, I think they have an advantage because they don't have to get out of the ball with their thumb. And sometimes, you know, if you're in a hotter environment, your thumb swells up. There's certainly an aspect of the sport that is lost by not using your thumb or putting your thumb into the ball.
Nice strike there by Tommy Loverick. Well done for Tommy. Yeah, you know, and again, and you saw it firsthand with the guy who's sort of credited with bringing that revolution here in Jason Belmonte, and you saw it, I'm sure you and the rest of the guys on the tour were sort of like, what's the story with that guy, you know?
I don't like it one bit when you have, you know, footprints all over your rear end because you got your butt kicked so bad by people that throw it with two hands. There's no doubt that today's game has evolved into being a power game. As I said, that the lost art of being creative and making little subtle changes with your speed and whatnot. The thing that's made Jason Belmonte so dominant is that not only does he have that high rev rate, but over the last couple of years, he has really developed a good touch, and now he's really, really tough to beat. There's another great two-hander on the PBA Tour now. His name's Anthony Simonson. And, you know, and he's only 19 years old, and he's already won a major. He's won 2 titles. He's just phenomenal. But he's another guy that they just have touch and feel, and it's so important to be able to have that in any sport, really, but even more so in bowling. Golf is another sport where you got to have really good feel.
I can't, you know, it's so radical, and it's very, very unusual in sports that you see someone come in and do something completely different and be successful at it. I can't help but wonder what your dad might have thought about watching a two-hander.
Didn't matter to my dad. He hated resin bowling balls.
But I mean, it is, you know, I mean, how, you know, it's to come in and completely change a sport like that by doing it, you know, that's like if some NFL quarterback came and threw it, you know, behind his back or whatever and completed 70% of his passes.
I'll tell you what, look what Tiger Woods did to golf. When Tiger came on the scene, there really wasn't any of the golfers that had a huge workout routine, really got ripped and really physically fit. Of course, they were in good shape, but Tiger took it to a whole new level and raised the bar higher. And now in order to compete, now you got, I went to one of the PGA events out in Palm Springs, California earlier this January, and they have a whole facility, a whole truck trailer that travels around with them that's got a whole state-of-the-art gym inside of that trailer.
Wow.
That those guys can go right there and work out, you know, and I mean, I do my fair share of working out, as you can tell if you watch me on camera.
We gotta get this restaurant going.
It just might not always be at the gym, right? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, my job is I have to taste all the food here, so I have an excuse.
Oh, nice shot.
Good job. Tommy's knocking some pins down here. He's doing a nice job. We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
I'm Janelle Sabin here with Liberty Cab, and a couple girls came out today to tell us a little bit about what they have going on at the Liberty Cab service. So your name is?
I'm Deanna Kiles, Laura Freeman, and we're with High Standards Promotions. So what we do, we work with Bill, and Liberty Cab has a new app called the Curb app. And you download it, it's a free app, and there's a code. What is the code again, Bill?
Liberty.
Liberty is the code, and it will give you $15 off of your first ride. So it's kind of like a free ride right from the get-go.
That's awesome, and that's a free app. Get it.
It's free, download, and you can see your driver, how long it's going to take till they get there, where they're at, so everything's, you know, consistently updated, and it's a great way to ride.
It's awesome, super convenient, anywhere in Western New York.
An impressive performance so far and good scores already on the board for David, already over 200 in this one, as you can see on Brad.
The Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard.
Well done.
Wow,
there you
very
go.
nice. Brad, do you see the kids shooting spares in their practice, or do they do first balls and re-rack?
What do you think? I'll give you 3 guesses. The first 2 don't count.
I'm gonna say first balls and re-rack.
It's really something. You know, I do know, like in Tommy's case, when he's here practicing, he bowls games for score all the time. It's all about the score. And, what I would like to see is I'd like to see, okay, if you want to bowl a couple games for score, that's fine. Bowl another whole game just knocking over your 10 pins. You know, try to get as low a score as you can.
Well, I mean, you see that they're so busy developing their strike ball and developing the first ball that, no matter what we say, and it's one advice that we can give and be right, you have to make your spares.
Well, it's funny, is some of the guys on tour have heard about the saying is, strikes are for show, but spares make the dough. And that's really what it comes down to. You see a lot of people, they can string them, 4, 5, 6 in a row, but then they leave that single pin, and then it goes in the gutter. Where the really solid guys go double, 9 spare, triple, 9 spare, 9 spare, double, and now they got 230, and the other guy's saying, wait a minute, I struck 3 more times than you did.
Yep.
Yeah, but you got to make spares too.
We see that on this show, and we usually it's an open frame that determines a match one way or the other. And I think Sue has taught me that those are when you see those happen, those are the moments that someone either has to overcome, shake off, or the other guy looks at that and goes, okay, you just opened the door for me. I'm going to keep knocking my pins down, strikes and spares. Don't leave any opens, and I'm going to win. And I think that's a good point of what you're saying is sometimes it's not about how well you do, it's how few mistakes you make.
Sure it is. Absolutely. You got to be able to fill those frames.
Like if a two-hander asked me to, I'm looking at this young man and know that I really don't know how to tell someone that throws a ball like that how to line up. Do you? How do you line people up that throw two-handed?
Well, the two-handed release, all it really is a much higher rev rate. And because it's a higher rev rate, they have to be able to generate more speed. So there's a ratio in bowling. It's called the speed to rev rate ratio. If you have a higher speed, you have to be able to have a rev rate that's higher. If you don't have a rev rate that's higher, then you can throw it a little slower. And learning to be able to change either of those factors or both of those factors has a lot to do with being able to get matched up on any pattern.
Another strike for David. Boy, he has bounced back from a couple of those disappointing throws, like the gutter ball that you mentioned in the open frame, and he has shaken them off and come right back. And look at the impressive numbers for both guys on our scoreboard there. And this has been a lot of fun to watch. And boy, I can't wait to see our championship match coming up. We know Trevor Watts is waiting for the winner of this one, and the way David's going right now, that the winner of that championship match might be in the 280s in order to get there.
Well, David could shoot 319
with the handicap.
That's right.
Yeah, don't forget the handicap.
Good point. That's right.
Isn't it interesting though that 2 left-handed kids are going to be bowling for the title?
Well, based on the condition of the lanes,
exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
So let that be a testament to any lefty that says, "Oh, I don't like this place. I don't like these lanes."
236 is David Shelton's score. Very impressive for him. It may also lead to any young parents out there who want to get their kids started in bowling to tape the right hand behind their back and get them out here and working that left side of the lanes.
Well, then they'd probably fall over.
Yeah, well.
How about having them throw it with 2 hands with their left hand, though? There's a couple really good two-handed left-handed guys.
Left-handed bowlers, left-handed baseball relievers, man, you got it made. You got it made if you can pull that off.
Well, the contracts aren't quite there in bowling, but if you could throw a base, do you see that guy in the professional baseball that can throw it right-handed and left-handed?
Yes,
he made it to
pitched for the Bisons a couple of years ago. Matter of fact, I think he pitched for the Bisons earlier this year.
No.
Yeah.
He's major league caliber. He actually got called up, and he can pitch right-handed and left-handed. He throws at 90 miles an hour, both sides.
Wow.
As the great Yogi Berra would say, he's amphibious.
Great job, Paul. Good Phil.
So here's David Loverick finishing out an impressive, Tommy Loverick, I'm sorry, finishing out an impressive performance for himself. Yeah, a little body English there. Couldn't quite get them all knocked down, but Tommy has been a lot of fun to watch, and I can't wait to see him maybe next year when we're back here with another year of coaching by Mr. Brad to catch him again.
Tommy is great. He's one of favorites. He comes walking in the door, and everybody, our whole staff will say, "Hey, Tommy, what's going on today, buddy?"
Almost got him. Almost got him. Good job for Tommy. The 191 on the scoreboard for him. So we have a final score. It's David Shelton with the win. David will take on Trevor Watts. That'll be our championship match when we come back. Stick around. We're going to crown a high school bowling champion when we return to Brad Angelo Lanes in Lockport. Well, our Beat the Champ veteran here, Tommy Loverick, his second appearance, very impressive. Did you have fun out there, Tommy?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I really like being with Mr. Brad a lot. Thank you very much.
Well, that's what we hear. Tell me, what's it like learning from this guy?
I go to his lesson all the time and have a lot of fun. He taught me how to bowl pretty good.
He sure did. You did. You taught him to go bowl pretty good, didn't you?
He's great. He's one of my favorites. He's one of our most loyal supporters, so thanks, buddy. I appreciate you bowling.
Good job, Tommy. It was a pleasure to watch you bowl out there. For the second time that we've had him on Beat the Champ, we've got our championship match coming up. It's the High School Bowling Challenge here at Brad Angelo Lanes, and it is next. Championship match here of our High School Bowling Challenge at Brad Angelo Lanes features Trevor Watts in the black against his Niagara Falls High School teammate David Shelton in the blue. Both of these guys put up nice big scores in their qualifying matches, Sue. So this really could be one heck of a match between these two guys. Both strong, powerful bowlers, as we've already seen.
Yep, lefty versus lefty, so they can't blame it on either side of the lane. They're in the same condition.
Yep, and at the end of a long day here at Brad Angelo Lanes, it's better to be on that left-hand side. Just a little bit of a miss that time for Trevor Watts.
I think it took this long for two bowlers to actually be playing the same line against each other.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
nobody played the same line
Good
all
point.
day, and these two are actually lined up the same.
I don't know if David is going to change balls or not. He used
Yeah, so practicing with another ball.
he went over and grabbed another ball during his 4 shots of practice that he got. So I don't know if he's going to change balls or not. No, he's going to stick with the IQ Tour Gold.
That nice that gold bowling ball has been working for him so far, and it looks good too. So
it sure has.
Now David is getting 19 pins as part of the handicap. Trevor is getting 6. So right now a 13-pin advantage already right off the bat for David. I don't know that he's going to need it, but he'll certainly take it.
Well, I think one of these kids are probably, not including their handicap, I'm willing to wager right now that one of them is going to shoot in the 230 scratch.
All right,
pretty
we'll hold
impressive.
you to that. Stick with us for the next 10 minutes, 12 minutes. We'll see if Brad's right. He knows these kids as well as anybody, and well, I don't think you're crazy by saying that based on the way we saw them bowl in the first match of the day.
There's just so much talent. Both of them, loads of talent. And what are their ages of each of them?
Well, Trevor is 15. Actually, David's 15 as well, too.
So they're both the same age. They're both probably sophomores in school. So they both have a huge future.
You know, both very key parts of the, of Niagara Falls High School and the bowling that's going on there as well, too.
He just not get that out to his break
Did you
point.
see it?
Yeah.
Did you see it? I think maybe I spoke too soon. When you're using this much angle, the bowling ball gets really sensitive to the changes that are happening on the lanes. And, you hear the old adage, straighter is greater type of thing. Not so much so when you have this much power, but if you notice, both of them have a lot of rotation. The direction of the rotation is very sideways. And if you think about a car going down the road, you want the direction of your tires to be rotating forward so that if you do happen to skid, you can still stay straight. You still have control.
Right.
These guys here, both of them are going against the grain and their ball's rotating sideways as it's going down the lane, so it would just stand to reason that when it sees that friction, it wants to make a big move. Well, now, they get lined up to that friction, but what's happening to that friction every shot? What's happening to the lane every shot is changing. So they're going to have a really difficult time controlling controlling that shot to the pocket that they have.
Spares in the first 2 frames for Trevor as he moves on to frame number 3 here.
That was really right there. Excellent shot by Trevor. He got tapped, but that was great. Ooh, great shot. He is using that. He's using those dry boards off to the left, but so is David, and he missed last shot. He did not get it that far left.
David's changing balls here. He's going to the other ball. It's certainly a much more aggressive ball. It has a much higher amount of friction that creates. It's an alpha crux. And you see at least it got into a roll a lot sooner than that other ball. The other ball just kind of skidded way out there.
Based on our day here at Brad Angelo Lanes, these guys are using that left side of the lanes as much as anybody has all day long. We didn't have a lot of lefties all day today, but particularly Trevor, really a dramatic swing from left to right. Well, you'll see it if you've already noticed it, but even David is working those outside boards there on the left side.
But the more that they move to the right, the more that first distance that their ball's hitting the lane is coming in contact with what the righties pulled off. So if they move more to the right, they're actually having to navigate more distance of friction as they move to the right.
See, look at all these coaching tips. We're getting these from Coach Brad here. We're getting all these coaching tips.
I'm here all week, guys. I'll be here all week.
All week, you're here all the time. What are you kidding? You're always here.
Michelle's always here.
Speaking of which, you've got a PBA Tour stop here coming up at the end of the month, right?
Coming up the end of June, we have a stop in Oklahoma, and we'll be bowling on 3 different patterns. Each day is a different pattern in our qualifying, so it's 3 days of qualifying, 3 different patterns, 3 different oils we're using. So we're using a different oil on each pattern, which different oils have different viscosities and they move around differently. So keeping track of what oil we're using is going to be really important.
Is that like an Ironman competition or what?
Yeah. Yeah, and then we have dessert afterwards, which is great. I usually have a hot fudge sundae.
You always have a hot fudge sundae.
I do.
What's the future of the PBA Tour? I mean, you've seen you've seen a lot of transition on the tour in your 15 years, and there's times when it was up and times when people were worried, and it's sort of found itself again a little bit. Where do you see the future of pro bowling?
Well, I think as a entity, I think the PBA is doing okay. They seem to be able to bring in enough advertising dollars to support what they're doing as prize money. From a player's point of view, it's getting more and more and more difficult because a lot of the events that they are running, it's more of an invitation only. They do the Chris Paul invitational event, so they only invite the top 8 to 10 guys at that. There's a big event being filmed, which will be airing sometime soon. Down in Florida, it's called the Main Event. Only 8 guys were invited to that, and it's like a $60,000 or $70,000 prize fund, which takes away from the other prize funds when we're all involved. So it depends on what level you're trying to compete at. I'm certainly not one of the main 8 to 10 guys anymore. I'm probably in that next tier of guys that's just kind of on the outside looking in, trying to earn his way back up, but it's hard to compete with guys like Trevor.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
There's the updated Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard with the handicaps worked into it, so you see how close this one is. Was I supposed to let you say that time?
Yeah, what the heck? I'm trying to learn how to say Castellone Chrysler Jeep Dodge. I just said it wrong. Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard.
See, that's why I have it on a card.
You got to say it in the right order too.
That's why we have it on the card stuck to the table here, so you don't have to think.
Guys, you should have seen him. I was trying to say it, and he's like covering it up so I can't see I jumbled it all up.
I don't want to give away all my secrets here. I give away my secrets, and it'll be Brad Angelo and Sunavoyski hosting Beat the Champ next year.
The next time I buy a car, Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard, they better give me some sort of discount. I've only said it.
That's
5
on
times
you.
now.
You negotiate your own deals there. I'm staying away from that one. So
Maybe they'd be willing to have a nice little outing over here at our new facility.
maybe I think we need to work on having like a nice Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram sitting on the lanes here and part of on the shot, right?
Oh my goodness!
I'm sure that's
idea.
happened at some of your big bowling events, right?
There was one place they gave away a Harley Davidson, and they gave it away if you came in and you bowled for every game that you bowled in their bowling center, open bowling in the summer. Every game that you bowled, you got a ticket into the drawing, and then every week they drew out a ticket, and then they put that ticket up on the wall. And out of the 13 or 14 weeks in the summer, they had drawn out 13 or 14 tickets, and then they had this big party, pig roast out in the parking lot, and one of those people drove home with that Harley Davidson.
Sounds
Wow.
like
cool.
like a heck of a promotion for Brad Angelo Lanes. It
Castellone,
might be
Chrysler,
one of
Dodge,
those
Jeep,
Schwinn
Ram.
bicycles we talked about, but you
Schwinns.
might still have one of those.
Look at these guys go. Are you kidding me?
This is amazing. These
Do we
guys
have
are
a white
amazing.
towel? I need to wave the white towel.
I think your 230 is. I think your bet is safe. You're gonna. There's.
He still needs a mark. He still needs 2 marks. He needs 2 marks here.
All
'Cause
right,
if he
let's
loses
watch.
count, he can fall under 230.
Let's watch Trevor Watts here.
See, he's still got to make this. Come on, Trevor.
Boy, both of these guys very impressive to watch.
Oh, fantastic.
Very impressive for a pair of
Fantastic.
15-year-olds.
Hey, you can add them both together. They still don't come close to me. I've been bowling
I'm
for
not
a living
commenting.
No
now.
comment.
No comment from either of
No,
us.
listen, I've been bowling for a living for 28 years now. This is my 28th year bowling for a living, and these 2 little monsters are out here putting on this kind of show.
Good spare pickup by Trevor.
I will mention that through 9 frames, Trevor is clean. I like to see that.
It's great. Good for him.
He's made his spares.
Very impressive. Look at those scores. Outstanding. Yeah, a little
Just a
challenge
little bit
there for
slow with
David.
that one. A little bit slow.
Well, I think the future of bowling here in Niagara County is pretty good hands,
Sure
based on
is.
what we've seen from all 4 of our guys here today, and on the high school bowling teams that they both bowl on. Great futures, and and everything that you're doing with a little bit of the coaching and helping give a great place for Lockport and Star Point to bowl here is outstanding as well too. That's a big part of it also.
It's great. I hope to see all the listeners at least stop out sometime throughout the summer, check out the Bowl U workshop that will be starting here pretty soon here, June 5th. And, it'd be great to be able to see you and work with you and help you get better at bowling.
So this has been a lot of fun to watch. All 4, but particularly these 2 guys really bowl very well. And Trevor has been outstanding here. Lots of power and good form. And you see the score on the board put up by David with the 197. And Trevor is already on his way to getting close to Brad's prediction of the 230. Are we already over that?
He's already there.
Blew
He's
by
got
it
it
already?
covered. He's still got it covered.
Very good. So, well, good luck to you. Good luck to you in Oklahoma there, and good luck
Thank
on
you.
the continuing to be a part of the PBA Tour and uphold that great Buffalo tradition of PBA Tour bowlers. You and Ryan Simonelli and John Mazinski and the rest of the gang, and Jack every once in a while, and Tommy Baker on the senior tour, and I'm sure Joe Ciccone. I know he hasn't bowled as much lately, but all the rest of the guys. And if I'm leaving anybody out, I apologize.
Well, we got John Zerbinski. I've been working with John Zerbinski a lot over the last year, and he's really progressing well. I predict a win out of him soon. So thank you for allowing me the chance to be in the booth with you guys
Pleasure.
all day long. This was
And
great.
thanks for being a great host here at Brad Angelo
Thank you.
Lanes for the last month for us. It's been wonderful. And we got a 241 to 197 victory for Trevor Watts as our high school bowling champion. We'll talk to him and David and give them some trophies and some plaques and kind of revel in their outstanding futures when we return to wrap things up here at Brad Angelo Lanes. Lanes. You're watching this special edition of Beat the Champ. What a great way to wrap up our month-long stay here in Lockport. We had an outstanding performances by all 4 guys in our high school bowling challenge. David Shelton, a nice performance there in the championship match. We're going to present you with the second place plaque. Tell me how things went for you.
They went pretty good. Like, I was just trying to throw good shots and strike, but if I didn't strike, I just had to make the spares.
Well, you put a pretty good test on there, and you challenged Trevor pretty good down on that end there, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Trevor, any nerves out there bowling on TV?
No, not. I bowl a lot of big tournaments, so I don't really get that nervous.
Well, that's awesome. Now, does this make you the anchor now? Are you guys teammates?
Yeah.
Okay, so does this make you the anchor bowler now?
I normally anchor our B team, so I normally get a lot of pressure.
Well, the experience really paid off for you because you did a great job out there under a lot of pressure, so that was great. Nice bowling.
Thank you.
Brad has a trophy for you.
Hey, congratulations. Great job. It was great to be a part of watching you bowl, and I appreciate you bowling. Thanks, buddy.
All right, well, good job by Trevor and good job by Tommy and Matthew as well, too. We had a great time watching these guys bowl, and certainly the future of the sport up here in Niagara County is in very good hands with these 4 guys. Sue and I will come back to wrap things up here from Brad Angelo Lanes on Beat the Champ. Well, don't tell our winning bowlers, Michael Kemp, Josh Nowak, and Chad and me, but I think watching those high school guys was the most fun we had here this month.
Yeah, that was some awesome performance from young people, 15-year-olds, just throwing it great.
Yeah, a lot of fun with the high school bowling championship. And I mentioned Chad Mee. We're going to get to see him next week when we move the traveling Beat the Champ Roadshow to the Tonawanda Bowling Center.
Yep, expect high scores, expect a lot of excitement, because they know how to do it over there.
Yes, they do. We've been there before. You know the lay of the land there. You're going to have more stuff to give away. We're going to have a lot of fun.
It's always a great time, and it's always awesome to go back to a place we've been to before.
Yeah, so that'll be next week when Beat the Champ heads to the Tonawanda Bowling Center. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching Beat the Champ.